getting what I needed.
Sorry.
Nope. That's okay. And so I could not get the help that I needed. So that is very frustrating. And here, literally, like Steffi G is my direct enroller. Everything is bomb. Like this is everything I ever dreamed of. Like the community, the team. It's different here, you know? And so I love to share that. I shout it from the rooftops. I've never been a part of something quite so awesome. So
Right.
I
So
love to share about it.
when you're doing your sample, either posts or stories, like how are you bringing it up in your stories? Are you talking about the products first and then you're transitioning into saying like I have samples? How do you market that towards your audience?
So I usually make a sample run almost daily. Just since Saturday. I think I got like 12 samples out already. Um, and that's because I've been messaging for it too, just because like I've been messaging for customers and promoters and I haven't really been, pulling any in. So I switched kind of over to samples because I need to plant some more seeds. So I guess I kind of go live and do like a quick little 30-second video or a photo of me holding my samples. And I let them know, hey, I'm headed to the post office. Can I get a sample up for you? I usually ask like a call to action, like a poll, if they want, like I think today's was what's in it, or I want one. Or I'll put like a 3 or 6 day. I always put something.
Never know. So, always yes,
yes,
or
exactly.
Yes.
And then I put the poll like literally where they will click it. Like if they're just clicking through my stories, they're gonna click that. And then I get in their inbox. I'm like, hey girl, thanks. Thanks for your response to my story poll. Did you want some more information on a sample pack? And if they say no, I just boosted our algorithm. But if they do, then I get a sample out. But usually it's like kind of like similar to you. I get a lot of ideas from you. Like you go live, kind of packing up some samples, or I'll use my girls, like my daughters, they'll run to the post office with me and I take a picture of them with holding the packages instead of me. Or like I use like my hand dropping it in the mailbox, whatever, but I always add that poll to where they can click on it on accident.
So let's rewind back to maybe a time when you weren't actively sending out a lot of samples. How did you get out of that rut, and then how did you market at that point in time?
Oh, you're tough. Like
you should have prepped.
No, no, you're good. Like when I was in a rut, like what do you mean by that?
Like maybe you weren't actively sending out a ton of samples, or you just felt like it was one of those periods of time where you didn't have a lot of people saying they were interested or whatever.
Then I focused on growing my network at that point, adding to my network. I've never been a groups person until recently. And I'm kind of finding like close to my community because it's kind of on my heart to grow my local team. I want to have like those gatherings and those like things. So I've been like joining a lot of those groups and just asking simple questions in there and building relationships. And then I add them to my network, and then they're usually reaching out to me asking what Thrive is within like a week. And so I've been doing a lot of that lately. But then like sometimes legit, like if I needed cash or if I needed to pay a bill or something, I will get my friends list. And I'll go through that. Like I just, I message, I make the ask. I don't, I mean, obviously if I've never had a conversation with them, I'm not gonna like ask them. Like if they're a newer friend, I want to build that rapport and stuff. But if we've been friends for a while, and like I'll make that. So that's kind of what I do, I guess.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, now that you like, let's say you have this like large list of people that either they are currently sampling, interested in sampling, whatever. Brittany put a challenge out the other day to do 3-way messages, and Melissa like blew it out of the flipping water and had 30 3-way messages. I was like, oh my God,
It was
leave me alone. No,
it was
totally
actually
kidding.
almost 50.
Oh my God, by the end?
Yeah. And like not only that, but like my girl Rachel, she was running, like we were literally racing. She's like, I'm gonna beat you. So I am very competitive, and she told me what number she was at, and I was like, fuck, I'm at 25. You know, she was like at 30, I think. And so I like legit, like I just like I was done with dinner, so I just like went balls to the wall. And I think we ended out like pretty close to the same, but she was adding me and Steph in those messages too, because Steph's my direct folder. So I was in like literally like 100 3-way messages yesterday. And like I thought I was gonna have a like anxiety attack, but it was so awesome at the same time. But
that would not be a bad problem to have. I think I would welcome having lots of messages and talking to a lot of people.
Yeah. And I'm still like trying to get caught up on like all the responses and stuff like that. Like still, they're just still going. Like all these conversations are just like going.
So when you're taking them from a singular conversation with you to putting them in a message with someone else, what does that look like for you?
So I don't ask. That's one time I don't make the ask. I literally just do it. I think I can. I'm not sure. I will copy and paste them in the chat so that you can use those messages. But I literally like when she dropped that, I just made two responses, one for a customer chat and one for a promoter chat, and I sent it in my team chat. And I'm like, ladies, this is what I'm using. Let's get these 3 ways going. And not a lot of my people were doing 3 ways, but I have to set an example. I've never been big on 3 ways because I don't like Steph's my direct enroller. I know how busy she is. And so I usually try to find like a sideline that has like something in common if I really need a 3-way. But usually I just kind of take it on myself. So this was like a growth thing for me too. And I was just like, I have so many potentials. I have a notebook full of people from the last year and a half that I've never gotten into a 3-way. And I just like, I was money driven. She posted a thing for money. I'm like, I'm on it. Let's go. So I just literally, I started the 3 ways. I did it kind of slow throughout the day because I didn't want to get in Facebook jail. And so I think for like my promoter message, I think it was just like, hey, and I tagged them so that they can see the conversation. And it will be like prompted. And so I said, hey, Melissa, I know that you have had lots of questions about joining Thrive with me, and I wanted to add my BFF Steph so that we can make sure that we've answered all the questions that we can and help get you thriving. And I tagged Steph there too, so that everybody's tagged and they get the notifications, but it was legit just something so simple. I had some ladies, they said no, that now's not a good time and stuff like that. But then I had other ladies who, you know, money was an object, and like these 3 ways just like are brilliant. Like I'm learning so much from how like Stephanie replies, and it's still a coaching tool. Like here I am so many years later and I'm still learning, I'm still evolving. Like you pick up different things from different leaders and different ways, and you kind of apply it into your own things. So that was kind of a promoter message. And then for my customer message, because she had free shipping, I just started a message and it was like, hey, put their name in there. I know that we've talked about you thriving before. What would it take to get you thriving? Right now, I have some really awesome promos. I can grab you 20% off plus some free shipping. Let's get you thriving today. Or what would it take to get you thriving today? Because I ended it in a question. And I just put that there, you know, and I just said, you know, BFF Steph's here to answer, make sure I answered all the questions for you. And just kind of like being a good friend, if you will. And I didn't have anybody get mad at me or, you're always thinking because like I never wanted to be in a three-way. Like, that's intimidating for me because you don't know that person. But with those ones, and I asked Steph because obviously like sending out a large number like that, a lot of them didn't reply. And I even messaged Stephanie. I was like, dude, like, what did I do that right? Like, and she's like, no, like you totally did everything right. Like you introduced me, you said we were here to get to like all the things. And so I kind of like, whatever, because I did this throughout the day. People are at work too, and so then like as the night went on, like they started replying and things kind of started going. But I did kind of doubt myself there for a second. But yeah, I didn't ask. I just did. I went to my list of like my potentials. I'm sure everybody should have like a notebook with those in there. And I just went through and I started them if I had not started. And if I went through and let's say I did have a three-way already started because there was a couple that I did, I just bumped it, like, hey, check it in, whatever. And it was letting me realize like, wow, I let that three-way fall through the cracks because it's not something that I've ever been consistent with. But I learned a lot from yesterday and I'm really glad that I did.
Yeah. And I think like, and I always say, you being fearful of doing something is just you assigning an outcome to something that hasn't happened yet. That might not even ever happen. And that was something that I used to be afraid of too. I was like, well, what if I like scare them off? Or like, what if they're weirded out? Okay, 3 years doing three-ways. I have never had somebody that was like mad at me about it, first of all, or someone that was like, oh my God, why'd you put me in a message? Never. Hundreds of three-ways never have happened. In fact, I think they've been super beneficial, if anything, especially if you're having somebody that's sampling and like, let's say you are Sarah or, September, I can't even move on here, or Jennifer, or somebody that is working full-time, or Heather, and you're sending out a sample, you want to make sure that person's taken care of. And if they're that they get all their questions answered. And if you're at work, you'll have another person that can be there to answer questions for you. Or like offer discounts or say things in a different way that might resonate with that person. And it's not even like about a gotcha or about like, we're trying to get you. It's about I'm adding a friend of mine in here to make sure that you have all the support that you need. And in case you have a question that I don't know how to answer, she's in there too. And I know, like for me personally, I'm somebody that is very, what's the word I'm trying to think of? I'm very prideful and I like to be knowledgeable and I like to know what I'm talking about. And it took me swallowing my own pride and realizing like I don't have all the answers all the time and that it is beneficial to bring somebody else in because maybe something that I might be weak at, the person that I add in might be strong at. And like where I might beat around the bush to close the sale, they're really straightforward and get to the point. Or just like I said, just the way that they say it for some reason hits with that person differently than the way that I say it. And our objective isn't like, I need these people. It is like somebody said, I think it was Janetta Jones, I can't remember, at conference, that they need this more than we need to give it to them. Like they need it more than we need to give it to them. Because I think about my specific situation, had I never tried Thrive, and I know I've shared this with you guys before, I do not know where I would be right now. I do not know. I would not be this person that I am now, that's for sure. So that other person that you're fearful of putting into a message to get them to commit could potentially really need the thing that you have. They just needed somebody to guide them along the line. And so being fearful of three-ways, it's not salesy. It's not like, let me get my manager, because that's what I thought for so long. Let me go get my manager, Stephanie, and put her in a message. Yep. No, it's because Stephanie has strengths. And obviously she's been doing this longer than me, so she knows what she's talking about. She has strengths where I might be lacking in some areas. Or there might be areas that I'm strong in, but like maybe I'm just busy for a minute and Steph can help answer a question. I mean, she's busy too, let's be honest.
I know,
We have the same
but
dilemma.
she's super quick. I mean, if she sees something come in there, she hopped in some of those other ones. I mean, I'm sure her inbox was like super full. But she was still in there, you know, she was still doing it. And she, you know, some of the replies that she said like are not things that I would have said. And so, like I said, it was such a great learning tool because now I'm implementing it and it's super great. I was going to say something too, and I completely forgot. It'll come back to me. Sorry.
But yeah, so if you feel like you are struggling in your business right now, samples and 3-ways are the way to get out. Action is the only way that you can move yourself out of a situation of feeling like you're not getting momentum. And if that is messaging everyone that views your story and asking them like, hey, thanks for viewing my story. I just needed to ask you, are you wanting to try Thrive? Because I would love to get a sample into your hands. Like, that doesn't feel gross. Sometimes people are fearful. I sat and watched Stephanie for 1.5 years before I messaged her. Like, I literally watched her and watched her. She came over to my house. She signed my husband up as a promoter when she was with It Works. Like, and I didn't. It's such a funny story. But I sat and watched her for so long. And the funny thing is that I actually tried a sample from somebody else that isn't even nowhere in our upline. She must be somewhere else under Maria, but I don't know. And I just wasn't jiving well with her and signed with Steph like 5 months later. I didn't even try the sample, you guys. It sat on my counter because this girl never followed up with me. Never. She got my sample to me and then never followed up.
Yo, I will say, I am kind of bad at that too. Not even.
I think we all are at some point.
Yes, but there is an app. I was on a Lunch and Grow the other day. It is called the Shop app. And you can legit, like, especially with me getting all these samples out, like the other week I had 17 samples out. This week, like I've got 12. So like keeping up with those and like making sure that I'm on top of my follow-up so I know exactly when their package gets there. The Shop app. So basically it's like you can link it to your email and so it will tell you like all your deliveries and like it will track them for you, send you notifications. But you can literally like put that customer's tracking number in there and to say this is Sarah's 6-day mini. Okay. You give it a nickname and it will legit like notify you like where it pings, when it's delivered, when it's out for delivery. And so that way you can message them with so much excitement. And I like game freaking changer. I'm not even kidding you. And I'm just like, I'm staying on top of
my personal purchases.
Put your customers' stuff in there. Like I've even put like their auto ships and stuff so that I can follow up with my customers. This is the only like I've never like been good at follow-ups, and this is the only thing like I don't know, like the last 2 months I've been implementing it, and whoa, it's a game changer for me. Like with my follow-ups.
I love that idea.
Yep. And you know, it just like it notifies you. You know, they don't know that you're tracking their package. And so it's just like it's a good way for me to be able to provide that customer service. Mm-hmm. You know, because you never know, like sometimes it can take so long to get to them and you know you're not keeping track of that in your back office and stuff. So
right,
I'm all good with this awesome app.
Oh, anything easier for sure. And then I just wanted to add something too that I just thought of with 3-way messages. Like maybe you're the person and like again resonating with somebody else. Maybe you're the type of person that like you're not comfortable sending out voice messages, but the person that you're adding in does voice messages all the time. It hits different. Stephanie, every time I put her in a chat, she will voice message that person. And sometimes like I might be in a weird place, like I don't know, somewhere where I'm not able to like vocally use my voice memo, because anytime I try to, if I can, I'll use my voice clip if I can. But to be able to have her in the message to use the voice memo. So like if you are in fact in work, or you are holding a sleeping baby or whatever, and you can't do it, the other person might be able to, and that vocal, them hearing the voice, it hits different. You're human. You're not just copy pasting everything. They can like start to build attachment with you because they hear your actual voice. Do you use voice clips a lot?
I absolutely love voice clips. And text replacement. It saves me. But honestly, like once I usually will send them like a text first, to get the conversation going. Some I do use voice clips, but most of the time it'll be a first text. But then afterwards, like when I want to go balls to the wall into a conversation, I want them to hear my passion. I want them to hear my excitement. I want them to, I don't know, like I get bubbly and like I just like, and I want them to hear like my kids and everything, like the freaking chaos in the background, because that lets them know too, like I'm running this business from home. You're a model again. But it lets them know that I am I'm a normal person. Like I'm a mom of three. It lets them know who I am. It lets them know that I'm authentic and that my life is crazy and I'm still doing this from home, So it kind of also like it's brought up the opportunity aspect of things too, because they're like, you do this from home like all day, I was like, yeah, this is what I do. And so it's great for them to hear you. It's so great for them to hear you. So if you're scared to use voice messages, start using it with your team, so that you can conversate back and forth and it becomes natural. Because like literally, like I'm a voice message because I'm so super like on the go. It just works faster for me.
Oh, totally. If you're like holding kids and crap,
Yeah.
just one button. And Chantal actually commented and said that the voice memo is what sold her because it made it real. So it's connection. Definitely.
It is. It really is. Like they hear the chaos, man. Like if you hop on, the Zoom or whatever, like, yes, exactly. It's just, they get to know like the real you. That's just like what they've been, or what Brittany has been talking about in Destination Okay. Like get in your lives, and like people want to see you. Like Megan, legit, like, you go live in your stories every single day. I still have like, I don't know, anxiety whenever I do it, but I'm getting better. And so, but it's just like they want to hear you. And like when I realized that, instead of like worrying about like what I look like and what, like everything has to be perfect, it doesn't, because then that lets them know that you're real, you're raw, like this is you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I look like a hot ass mess most of the time. What you talking about? Like this morning,
no, you don't.
Disgusting, and I had zero makeup on, and I just like have a conversation as I'm making my shake in my stories, or tell them my stupid stuff. Like you think like, here's the thing, you think your life is so boring. You guys, I literally sit at home all day, like most of the time. I mean, like I occasionally go out, but usually I'm home with a 5-year-old who plays Roblox on her tablet or Barbies or whatever, and then a 15-year-old that sasses back at me every 5 minutes. But before I would think like my life is so boring, I have nothing to say. Like yesterday I talked about how I'm an unpaid pool boy and clean the pool all day, and I got so many laughs about my unpaid pool boy. And I thought it was like stupid, and I'm like, I'll just throw it out there and see what people think. But that's literally what I am, because I clean the pool every single morning. But that makes people relate to me like, oh, she cleans her own pool and whatever. It just like you had said, it just makes you real that when they can hear like kids in the background and dogs barking and you yelling at your child mid-sentence, like, and you're talking to another mom, she's like, girl, I can relate to that. Yeah.
Right. My kid literally, like, before I hopped on the Zoom, she threw, I don't know, maybe like a 30-minute tantrum, fell asleep on the couch. Yeah. Put that in my story.
Well, and the same thing goes for lives too. Like I always thought I need to have my makeup done and I got to know exactly what I'm going to say before I go on live and I got to do it perfectly. And like now my daughter will knock over my freaking ring light and my son will interrupt and then my dogs will run into my office and I'm like, what is this stuff? But it just makes people see that if they are genuinely interested in the business, that they can do it too, even if their house is chaotic, because your house is chaotic and a hot mess and all the things. Like you don't have to be perfect to show up. Just show up.
Yep.
Yep.
And make the ask.
Make the ask. I think that is such a huge key that a lot of people are fearful of doing. And is that something that you were scared of doing at first too?
Yeah.
What did you do to get over that initial fear? Just like tell yourself to shut up and do it.
You know, I honestly, like, you look at your why. Like if you're going for something, I mean, you have to kind of overcome that obstacle, and that's just like the reality of it. You just have to do it. You just do. You just kind of give yourself a pep talk, and like, okay, scenario. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys know who. Oh my God! Now I just like brain fart. Meryl Hemingway is, right? She is an actress, author. She does a lot about like anxiety and depression and stuff like that. But anyways, like she's I before I started MLM, I was working and I was doing an event with my work, and she was a keynote speaker there. And she was just absolutely like, her speech like blew me away. It was amazing. And so I actually got the opportunity to kind of like meet her, take a picture with her afterwards. And she added me on Instagram a long time ago. I think I almost fainted whenever she actually followed me. And this was back in 2016. She's been on my chicken list, guys. She's like super yoga, like she's got like mass like Instagram followers and stuff like this. And I don't even know. I think it was a task in one of the groups, and it was like you have to message 2 people on your chicken list or something like that. I don't know if it was like an IPA put out for my group or whatever. And you know what? I messaged her and asked her if she wanted a frickin' sample, and the lady said yes. And her sample just arrived in her mailbox today, and I'm freaking out because
you're like, oh my God, did she try it? Are you gonna? Well, did you open it? Did you get your package?
Right, yes. And I'm like trying not to bombard her, but I'm just like, guys, like that just like solidified like everything for me, guys. Like you have to make the ask, because if you don't, the answer legit will always be no. And if she would have not responded, I mean, I was like expecting that anyways. And so when she did respond, I was like, oh my God. Like I messaged Stephanie. I was like, oh my God, like hold on. So guys, just like don't be afraid to ask. You know, like.
So along with like you saying just know your why, I always say this anytime I'm feeling like I'm in a fearful situation, because I still come up to fears. Like I still get like nervous when I message somebody that even like sometimes like say you suck at follow-up and you haven't followed up with somebody in a really long time, like that makes you feel anxious sometimes, because you're like, what do I say? I don't want to feel like a piece of crap, like, but I know I should be following up with this person because I care about them. Maybe they stopped ordering, or like I think Sarah gave this example, like we're fearful of following up with people before their auto ships run because you're worried they're going to cancel it or whatever. Anytime I'm feeling a situation of fear, and this can be adding people to your network and worrying about like, are they going to message me and ask me like, why are you adding me? This can be going live. This can be talking in your stories. Like this can be like any sort of thing that you're coming to where you're kind of apprehensive and you're feeling that like little bit of anxious tension. I think to myself, what is harder? this, or, and I have goosebumps, you guys, thinking about this, and I might cry, just an FYI, or thinking back to the time when I was contemplating having to work 2 jobs and be away from my kids all the time because I didn't have any money. I think about the times that I had to have my kids put away groceries because the total came up to more than I thought it would be. Or is it harder to send a message to the person? Or is it hard to get those notices in the mail that my car might be repossessed? Like, what is harder? The current situation that you're sitting in that you're unhappy with, or sending a damn message? And I know that sometimes when we're in the struggle and it's something that you're used to, and maybe that's the only thing you've known for forever, that it's hard for you to see that there's a different situation waiting for you on the other side of you stepping outside of your fear. Because you've been in that place for so long, or you're worried you're going to sabotage, or you're worried that you are going to be perceived as a fraud when you build a big team. Like, these are all things that I've had to battle, you guys, inside of my own head. Like, what if I fail somebody that comes onto my team? Like, what if they figure me out? I don't know why I think that, because I know I put the work in, but what if they figure me out? Or what if I do build my team to this point and then like a big leader leaves? And so like you keep sabotaging yourself and you don't step into that powerful place that's there for you outside of the zone of you being scared of sending messages and maybe being too salesy or them saying no or whatever. I'm on the other side of that, you guys. Well, I'm not to the point, like I will never be at an arrival point, I don't think, because I think I always need to be pushing myself and I always need to be growing and I always need to be striving for something. But there was once a situation where my husband and I thought we were going to get foreclosed on. And that was before I joined this business. On the other side of it, paying all of our bills on time, I would go through even more of those situations where I felt fearful if it meant that I was going to get to this point quicker. Just what is harder? What kind of hard would you want to have? Do you want to have the hard of you sitting in the financially uncomfortable situation you might be in right now? And maybe you're fine, but maybe you're like, you have one big goal that you want to achieve. Do you want to stay in that hard place, or do you want to send the message that might be a little hard in this moment? I choose the hard where they might say no to me, and then what?
And it's really easy. It's really easy because, like, literally, like, when you said that, like, that's the God honest truth, and that's what I think about too. You know, we were March when the pandemic hit. Like, we were staying with my parents or my husband's parents. They kicked us out. We were homeless. We had nowhere to go. I busted my ass and I made sure that we had a roof over our heads. My husband and I, we both, like, he worked overtime and I busted my ass in this business, guys. Like, what's harder? You know, like, you have to know your why. You have to just, like, literally, if Megan almost cried, you know, like, she knows her why. She's very in tune with her why. Like, she has her board and her room, and, you know, I have mine in my living room. And yes, exactly. I'm not in my living room, or else I would.
Just so you all know, your names are on that board with ranks attached to them.
But that's good because it's visualization. So when you're having that doubt, like, that's why I hung in the living room. So that, for one, if my kids are bothering me and I'm sending those messages out, I'm setting my timer for 30 minutes and sending messages out. If they bother me, I'm like, this is what mom's doing. Okay. This is why mom's doing this. Okay. But if I have a hard time sending that message out, I personally look over there at that and I'm like, okay, this is everybody's dreams. Like, this is why. Like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And if I'm not consistent and I'm not making the ask, I'm never going to grow. I'm never going to grow out of my comfort zone. And so you literally just have to get the confidence. And if you don't have the confidence, that's where those 3 ways are going to help you out. Like, immensely, because then you can borrow that other person's confidence and you can learn from them. Like even Rachel, like she's been in a year or something. I think she started about 6 months after me, but she even messaged me afterwards and she's like, girl, like I learned so much from those 3-ways. She's never, really used the 3-ways either. And we were just learning from each other, guys. Like, it's all about a learning experience and applying it and just doing the do, like
nobody is just like plopped somewhere with a boatload of confidence. You're not.
No.
And I remember, I can't remember who it was. Somebody on our team was like, I want to do lives, but I just feel like I'm not as good as them at them as you. I was like, do you want me to send you my first one? Because it was a hot mess. Like, and the second one and the third one was a hot mess. And trust me, they come up in my memories and I'm like, Lord, I just want to crawl in a hole.
Can I delete these? Like I delete, yeah. My
it
old
is built
stuff where I was, yeah.
It is built through experiences and through you totally bombing a message and through a really bad live. And it's built through those things. Like you don't get to just skip over them as much as we want to. But I can tell you now that like I do feel confident when I go live, and I do feel confident when I'm in messages talking to somebody about something. I can tell you like the times where I bombed and messed up and like did terrible lives and whatever, like nobody remembers, you guys. Nobody says anything to you. Nobody hops in your messenger and is like, wow, that was a really bad live. Nobody says that. You know why? Because they're worried about what everyone else is thinking about them. They're way too worried about that to be concerned about what you're even doing. So make the ask, do the things, step outside of like your little bubble that makes you comfortable, and watch your business change if you commit to that. Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to say thank you. Take a picture. I already.
You're welcome.
Whoop! I just knocked something off my desk.
Oh my God, you take one from your, because I'm not on my laptop.
Yeah, I am so hot. Like not even funny. I wonder if I can get gallery view so I can get everybody in here. Bam, look at that. I'm such a weirdo, you guys. I mean, y'all know that, but thanks for loving me the way I am. All right, I'll send that out. I'm going to hit stop on the record.